Fever dog! Woo! Woo! Fever! Good dub. Ugly, but we found a way to win. Woo.
They embarrassed her at home, dominated the paint, walked off her court with a 1-point win that felt like a knockout. And just 48 hours later, the Indiana Fever turned all that pain into power. If you thought this team was just about one superstar lighting it up from deep every night, think again. Because what they did in Atlanta wasn't just a win, it was a message to the entire WNBA. We don't forget, and we don't fold.
Hey, Steph. This question is for you. I just wanted to talk about what you saw out of your team that was different from Tuesday. Obviously, it's a quick turn, but how did you feel like your adjustments paid off on the court?
I felt like our defensive energy, physicality, disruptiveness was better. We made it more difficult for them, moving the ball around the perimeter. We executed better in our ball screen defense. Felt like we had each other's back a little bit more.
This wasn't about Caitlin Clark dropping 30 points or hitting logo threes. In fact, it was the complete opposite. It was gritty. It was ugly. It was defensive. And it was dominant. The kind of performance that tells you who's built for June and who's pretending. This game showed exactly what happens when a young team finds its identity, not in highlight plays, but in revenge.
There's one thing this Indiana Fever team has shown us they will do this year. It's not quit on the game. The Indiana Fever down early, come back, take the lead. Down late, come back, take the lead. The only difference between tonight's outcome and Tuesday's outcome is a letter.
Just 2 days before their explosive road win, the Indiana Fever left Gainbridge Fieldhouse with their heads down. A 91-90 loss to the Atlanta Dream. On their home court wasn't just disappointing, it was exposing. Every weak spot, every crack in the foundation, every soft moment in the paint, it all came out under the bright lights. And make no mistake, Atlanta made them pay for every one of those mistakes. They bullied the Fever on the boards, they punished them in the paint, and they made them look like a team that still hadn't figured it out.
Yes, this stinks. We want to win this game. But, I think this is great for our team. A little adversity. How are we going to respond? How are we going to come in here tomorrow morning and watch the film and learn and get on the court and get better? And like I said, that's why this league is so great. You have a couple days and then you get right back to it. You find a way to respond. We have a chance to go there and play them, actually. So it's even better, I guess. We can, get a little redemption if we go down there and play well.
Brittney Griner, as expected, was an unstoppable force. She racked up 21 points with ease, using her size and strength to overpower Indiana's smaller front court. Ryan Howard chipped in 20 more, slicing through Indiana's defense like it was preseason. Meanwhile, the Fever clanked 10 free throws and let the Dream shoot 32 of their own. It wasn't just a loss, it was a lesson, one that could have crushed a younger team.
They shot 32 free throws. It's a lot of free throws. Going to be difficult to win a lot of games when we foul people that much and put them at the line that much. It's tough. They made 25 out of 32. We still went to the line 26 times, missed 10. So that's the game really right there. It obviously doesn't come down to that, but, it's just a little thing.
But this team didn't fold. They studied. They learned. And most importantly, they got mad. Head coach Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat the truth post-game. She said it plainly. I don't feel like we match up well with them. But beneath that honesty was a plan. Because while the media was counting them out, White and her staff were in the film room building a blueprint. And when they got on that plane to Atlanta, they weren't hoping for redemption. They were planning it.
Proud of our fight, the toughness that we showed, our ability to stay together. Our bench was really engaged in every timeout and in every huddle. We were all engaged. And
when the Fever stepped onto the court in Atlanta just 48 hours later, they weren't looking to make friends. They were there for payback, and they got it. Indiana flipped every single stat that doomed them in the first meeting. In the paint, they outscored Atlanta 46-20. On the boards, they out-rebounded them 41-37. And Griner? She went from 21 points to just 5 before fouling out late in the game. The shift wasn't just dramatic, it was surgical.
Tuesday, we couldn't seal the deal. We lost it at the free throw line. Tonight, we sealed the deal. Tonight, we took the lead late in the fourth after being down 75-71 with 3 minutes left. We take the lead and we don't look back. The Indiana Fever leave the ATL with an 81-76 victory, and this game was pretty. Man, this game was pretty ugly.
This wasn't the same team. This was a group that had something to prove. They played angry but focused, physical but smart. Every cut was sharper, every rotation tighter, every defensive possession felt like a statement. This wasn't just revenge, it was basketball warfare. And the Fever didn't just win, they broke Atlanta's spirit on their own floor, the Arc.
What a win for the Indiana Fever against the Atlanta Dream. Good teams win ugly. And that was what was most impressive to me about the Fever's performance against the Dream.
Quick moment before we go deeper. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more real, no-fluff WNBA coverage, do us a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below about what impressed you the most in this Fever comeback. We're just getting started, and your support helps us reach more fans who actually care about the game.
But getting in foul trouble early, I think, messed up her rhythm, and she didn't really have her legs, because it certainly was one of the worst performances of Clark's career from a production standpoint offensively. First time in her career she didn't hit a three. So nothing to write home about from Cece. But that's okay, right? Even when, that's happening, game's on the line, she's got the basketball. She's got the basketball, manipulates the defense, gets it to AB, who puts it away.
Statistically, this was one of the worst games of Caitlin Clark's professional career. No threes, just 11 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 5 fouls. Her impact on offense was visibly limited, and for long stretches, she was forced to sit. But here's the twist. That's exactly what made this game so powerful. Because even without her usual fireworks, the Fever didn't just stay in the game. They won it, convincingly.
Shout out to Natasha Howard, I will say. You didn't have a good game last game. You bounced back today. If I'm the Atlanta Dream coach, I'm going into tonight with a game plan. Folks, make Natasha Howard beat us. Don't let Caitlin Clark beat us. Don't let Kelsey Mitchell beat us. Don't let Aaliyah Boston beat us. Make Natasha Howard beat us. And Natasha Howard, she took on that challenge and she came through. Let's just think back a year ago. Who's that going to be? Katie Lou? Nope. Erica Wheeler? Nope. Nalissa Smith, you make me laugh.
For the first time since January 2022, Clark didn't hit a single three-pointer. For the first time in her college or pro career, her shooting didn't command headlines. And yet, she still mattered. She still drew defenders, still moved the ball, still made the smart play late in the fourth, manipulating the defense and feeding the hot hand. This wasn't about Clark the scorer. This was Clark the leader. A subtle but game-changing evolution.
That's why we at least go out and get somebody like Natasha Howard that when Caitlin Clark, Kelsey, and AB aren't hitting, when Caitlin Clark, Kelsey, and AB are getting hoed with fouls, there's somebody there that's competent offensively that can keep us in the game. And Natasha Howard, you did just that. 26 points, 7 rebounds. Way to go, Natasha Howard.
Any other team losing their star like that mid-game might have folded. They might have panicked. But this Fever squad didn't blink, because leadership doesn't always mean scoring 30. Sometimes it means keeping your head when your shot's not falling. Sometimes it means making someone else the hero.
Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull are the real deal. That's what it does look like. It looks like these two off the bench, you can name whoever you want. These two ladies off the bench are going to be the most impactful duo in the WNBA, hands down. Hands down, these two are going to be the most impactful duo in the WNBA off the bench. They bring the energy, they bring the heat, they're able to score, they play defense.
Enter Natasha Howard, the unsung hero, the veteran who heard the whispers after a forgettable first game and silenced them. She exploded for 26 points on 12 of 17 shooting. She bullied Atlanta's interior defenders, dominated in transition, and owned the third quarter with 13 solo points that completely shifted momentum. While all eyes were on Clark's struggles, Howard was busy taking over.
Stephanie White, folks, we were up 3 points in the last minute. Stephanie White puts Sophie and Lexi, and they say, press. In the last minute, Stephanie White says, Sophie, Lexi, Press. Don't make it easy on them. Don't let them get into their offense. We got to hassle them. We got to haggle them. We got to get on them. We need to force them to make decisions before they want to. And Sophie and Lexi did just that. Those two, great job tonight.
There was no hesitation in her game. No second guessing. She got the ball and went to work. Shoulder down, footwork crisp, finishing with authority. And every bucket was a reminder that this team has layers. You shut down one weapon, another one rises. And that's the blueprint for a deep playoff run. You don't just need scorers, you need people who can be the #1 option when the spotlight unexpectedly lands on them.
That's toughness on display. Fighting through it. It ain't always going to go your way. And then, like I said, some of the new players. I think Natasha Howard was excellent in this game. She was excellent in this game. And there were some, connections between her and Clark. Then there was Sophie Cunningham, who was also back for the first time, who's just an excellent all-around basketball player. And you could see it here. Clark with the get-ahead to Cunningham and the finish. I mean, Cece's just such a gifted passer.
Howard didn't just put up numbers. She set a tone. Physical, confident, and relentless. Atlanta's defense keyed in on Clark. Kelsey Mitchell couldn't find her rhythm. Aaliyah Boston was battling foul trouble. So Natasha Howard did what stars do. She owned the moment. That's veteran leadership, and it won the Fever the game.
Damaris Dantas, 17 minutes. Yeah, 1 for 5. Stephanie White, again, to her credit. Did you see what she did today with Dantas? Did you see what she did tonight with Dantas? Brittney Griner, are you in? You're in? Cool, Dantas, get in there. Brittney Griner, you're out? Cool, Dantas, get out. Brittney Griner, you're coming back in? Cool, Dantas, get back in. Griner, you're out. Dantas, you're done here.
If Natasha Howard set the pace, Indiana's bench slammed the door shut. Sophie Cunningham, fresh off an ankle injury, returned like she'd never left, dropping 9 points and 6 rebounds in just 20 minutes. She hit her first 3 of the season and ignited an 11-0 run that flipped the lead in Indiana's favor. More than the numbers, it was her energy. She flew around on defense. She sacrificed her body. She even drew an offensive foul in the final seconds.
I felt like our depth came into play there, being able to go to our bench and bring a different defensive coverage and intensity level, and that allowed us to get out in transition. I mean, we're going to be at our best when we're in transition, and I felt like in that second quarter we were able to get out a little bit.
And then there's Lexi Hull, the underrated spark plug off the bench. She poured in 10 points, handed out 4 assists, tying a career high, and made clutch decisions under pressure. Her playmaking, her calm, and her relentless effort proved something the Fever desperately needed to show. Their bench wasn't just filler, it was firepower.
Brittney Griner tried to post up Damaris and failed to post up Damaris. She tried to move Damaris off the block on defense. She failed to move Damaris off the block on defense. Damaris Dantas isn't only a big body, she's a strong SOB. And Brittney Griner found that out firsthand tonight.
This was no longer a team dependent on 1 or 2 names. They outscored Atlanta's bench by 16 points, a complete reversal from the first game. Sophie and Lexi didn't just contribute, they changed the game. And if they keep playing like this, Indiana suddenly becomes one of the deepest and most dangerous rosters in the league.
Let's start with the one that's going to be shared everywhere.
But the moment that defined the game came in the third quarter. A hard foul, a stare down. And suddenly, Caitlin Clark and Ryan Howard were face to face, exchanging words with fire in their eyes. The crowd leaned in, cameras zoomed, and then Clark said it, clear as day. I'm not scared of you.
Look, Ryan Howard was up in her grill all game, and there's the bump, there's the physical challenge there, and some words for Clark. But if you could see, Clark has some words back, and those words, if you lip read appropriately, or it seems like from the lip readers out there, were, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not scared of you. I'm sorry.
It wasn't bravado. It wasn't fake. It was a declaration, a message to her teammates, to the Dream, and to the entire league. Clark wasn't backing down, not from a former #1 pick, Not on the road, not in a revenge game. She even threw in a sarcastic thumbs up just to make it crystal clear. You're not going to break me.
I'm not scared of you. With that, and that's competing. That's good basketball. That's fine. Howard wanted the challenge. I loved it. I love that. You just can't let, people play Clark like they're bumping her at the line of scrimmage and not call a foul. You got to call those fouls. Get them in foul trouble.
The video went viral almost instantly. But for Indiana fans, it meant more than social media clicks. It was a turning point. The kind of moment that championship teams are built on. When your young star shows that she's not just talented, she's tough. That exchange lit a fire. The Fever played harder, faster, meaner. And Atlanta? They flinched.
Overall, it was the response from the Fever that impressed me the most to come away with this win. I said the last game was an impressive loss because things didn't go right and they were almost there and they came back. And this is sort of the, same side of that coin.
Let's talk about Brittney Griner. She had torched Indiana just days earlier. So how did she go from 21 points to fouling out with 5? It was chaos. Beautiful, strategic chaos. Indiana's defensive scheme threw everything at her. Double teams from odd angles, help from shooters, post traps at random. It looked messy, but it worked.
It's huge. And, again, our depth and our ability to play different lineups, our ability to lift one another up if we don't have it. I mean, I thought Damaris Dantas was huge for us when AB got in foul trouble. And, it's easy to look at numbers, but what she brought in terms of her ability to move the ball, her defensive physicality was huge. Obviously what Lexi and Sophie bring for us, and even Sid. I mean, she hadn't played the whole game, and we throw her in there in some time and score situations. We have a team that we can go 11 deep.
Griner couldn't find rhythm. Every possession felt like a wrestling match. The Fever were physical, relentless, and ready to take fouls if it meant breaking her confidence. The officials stopped giving her calls. Her frustration grew, and eventually, with 3:38 left, she fouled out. For the second time this season, both against Indiana.
We talk a lot about some days it's going to be your day, some day it's not, right? We have to choose the we over the me, and we have to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. Every single person that impacted this game in a positive way, and I'm really proud of them.
That's not a coincidence. That's a game plan executed with surgical precision. Without Griner, Atlanta's offense collapsed. The paint dried up, the spacing broke down, and Indiana, like a shark smelling blood, closed the game with authority. This wasn't luck. It was tactical dominance. This win didn't happen because one player went off. It happened because everyone showed up. Clark struggled? No problem. Natasha Howard dropped 26. Boston sat with fouls? Dantas stepped in and delivered. The bench mob showed out. And the defense finally looked playoff caliber. These are the ingredients championship teams are made of. Indiana didn't just escape Atlanta. They outclassed them. They held the Dream to 36% shooting, outscored them by 26 points in the paint, and walked out with a win despite their star player having an off night. That's not a fluke. That's depth. That's resilience. That's growth. Stephanie White pushed every right button. She trusted her bench. She threw wild defensive looks. She empowered her leaders, and in return, her team played like contenders. This game wasn't about stats. It was about statement, and the Fever made theirs loud and clear. So let's put it all together. Clark couldn't hit. Griner started strong. The Fever were on the road, and they still won. Why? Because this isn't the same Indiana team from last year. This team has weapons. They have grit, and now they believe. If they're winning like this when their superstar is off, just imagine what's coming when she's on. Let us know in the comments, what impressed you most about this revenge win? Was it Clark's leadership, Howard's breakout, or that wild bench performance? And don't forget, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this. We're just getting started, and so are the Indiana Fever.